I suppose you'll be moving on now.
No, I'm staying. If you'll have me.
Oh, I'll have you.
Everything is ready, my darling. Do not be afraid. Soon we'll be together again.
This sandwich tastes as dry as hell.
Hello and welcome to Hello, This is the Doom Show. I am Richard.
I am Brad.
Folks, Brad and I, we might have taken a slight break from talking.
A little.
Just a little. We had our wonderful recording of Four Flies on Grey Velvet 16 months ago, but, you know, it's fine. We are here to get hammered.
Hammered.
The last time we talked about Hammer was frickin' Dracula AD 1972 and the satanic rites of Dracula.
Yes, sir.
Oh my god.
Two of my favorites.
Two of my favorites as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter, a film that, from 1974, a film that you told me about. Mm-hmm. I don't believe I'd heard of it before you mentioned it to me. And I am very excited to get into it with you today.
Outstanding.
This was written and directed by Brian Clemens, who didn't do a lot of directing, but he did some great writing.
Did a lot of great writing. Created shows. Really, I'm a huge Brian Clemens fan.
Nice. The most recent thing for me was Liette and I just rewatched Watcher in the Woods.
Childhood favorite.
I had never seen it as a kid, and I remember hearing about all the people who were traumatized by it. And us watching it this time was amazing. And more importantly, we watched the unused endings.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 endings on that Disney DVD that blew my mind. And I don't want to say anything except, if you haven't seen the unused endings from Watcher in the Woods, give them a look. It adds an even more strange perspective onto the film.
Yes, sir. I saw that at the library when I was a little kid.
Wow.
And it was scary and it was magical. So I've always had a huge, before I knew who Brian Clemens was, or even John Huff, I have always loved that film. And when you mentioned it a while back, I was so excited. I have the DVD as well. It is out of print.
Yep.
There's no Blu-ray. Disney, that was a period where Disney thought that they were going to make horror films for young adults, sort of.
Oh man.
This one did not work at all for them. And so it's also a very interesting film to read about as well. The Wikipedia in particular is very interesting. The making of it and Disney and everything, and of course with there being the alternate endings, that just gives it even more cult appeal.
Nice. I also like that Brian Clemens wrote And Soon the Darkness.
Yes, sir.
And he was one of the writers on a film that completely bowled me over. I'd seen it as a kid, but had completely forgotten everything I saw, and then watched it again as an adult with Movie Party Crew, and we were all just completely blown away. He wrote, or was one of the writers on Highlander 2, The Quickening, which, yes, folks, if you have never seen that or you've forgotten, give it a rewatch. It's so much crazier than you remember, I promise.
It's like 17 movies.
Yes, it is. I'm going to drop a really cool trailer in here. It's or if it's a trailer or if it's a TV spot, I can't remember, but it's quite magical.
I won't know the difference.
Yes, exactly. It's all audio for your ears.
For dear life, hold on to your blood. Because your blood is their life. Because your nightmare is their reality. They are history's deadliest vampires, creating the panic only one man can stop. Captain Kronos, vampire hunter, with death at every doorway, trembling in every heart. Now, the terror must be challenged. Who lives to destroy the curse? Kill me! Kill me! Who duels to battle the undead?
Her youth will pulse through your veins, my darling.
Who dares to bleed the bloodthirsty?
Yes, you bleed, my lord.
At last, horror has met its match. Captain Kronos, vampire hunter, from Paramount Pictures, rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
All right, that was the trailer, TV spot, what have you.
Loved it.
I have acquired, not the VHS tape for real, I have acquired the image of a VHS tape. I'm going to read you the plot synopsis here. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen this movie, we're going to spoil it.
Mm.
And if you were like have that Blu-ray in your watch list, get it, watch it, and come back to us.
Yes.
Because, spoiler alert, double spoilers, we might have nice things to say about this film.
It's possible.
Maybe. This could be a takedown.
Shakedown.
Don't watch this piece of hammered poop.
You busted.
Here's the plot. Here's the plot from the back of the VHS tape. Captain Kronos, vampire hunter, introduces a brand new character to the famous Hammer Films gallery of horror entries. Kronos, played by Horst Johnson, is a swashbuckling hero whose mission is to destroy evil wherever and whenever it is found. He fights with 2 swords, a rapier, and a samurai, is immoral and ever on guard to fight evil. His skills are tested in the 19th century when a rash of vampirism causes panic in a small village, with beautiful girls falling under the curse of a ghoulish vampire. 91 minutes. Color. Rated R. So we're going to talk about this cast right quick here to give us our main characters. Of course, we've got the Horst Janssen, who plays Kronos, who was a German. His IMDb is bonkers. He has so much stuff.
Mm-hmm. They dubbed him, though.
Yes, he's wonderful in this, but not his voice. They wanted less German accent, apparently.
Yeah.
We've got the wonderful John Carson, who plays Dr. Marcus, his pal.
Yes.
Who's the one who called him to ask for help. And of course, John Carson, his IMDb is completely insane too, with wonderful things like Taste the Blood of Dracula. Oh, he was in Doomsday. I forgot about Doomsday. The one with Neil Marshall, the Dog Soldiers guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in years. But yeah, Dr. Marcus is his character. Then we got Shane Bryant as Paul Durward.
Mm-hmm.
Durward. Of the Durward family. They're the family that's got some issues, to say the least.
Have you seen Straight On Till Morning that he's in?
You know what's so funny is you sent me a copy of that, and I've held on to that for so long, I've still never seen it.
Well, it's very good. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No worries. Please. I like this actor.
It's a great movie.
I will get to it. I'm going to get to it.
I believe it. I know. I'm getting the stuff now that you told me about 200 years ago.
It's not the same as Demons of the Mind, is it?
No.
Was that a different movie?
They're 2 different films.
Okay, that's one of my problems is I'm mixing them up.
I've seen Demons of the Mind too, but it's not... I don't think it's the film that Straight On Till Morning is.
Gotcha. Duly noted. They're 2 films. I will watch that one. The only thing that I've seen with him that was disappointing was an Australian slasher with some giallo in it called Cassandra.
Huh.
Which is okay. The funniest thing about that movie is the main character, the titular Cassandra, barely a character.
Ugh.
I don't understand why it's called Cassandra. It could be called any of the other characters.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I found a decent download of it. I don't know if it's been released over here. It's ripe for a Vinegar Syndrome.
Gotcha.
I feel like people would reevaluate it, and then there'd be a lot of people like me like, yeah, it exists. It's something. It's earned its 4.8.
You know what a really disappointing Australian giallo is? Stage fright.
Oh my God. Okay. Stage fright, AKA, what's that other title it's under?
Bad movie.
Shit. Nightmares. It's also known as Nightmares.
Yes.
That movie, the best thing about that movie, other than some of the stalking, is the main actress is so hideous. She is so bad. She almost carries the movie. She's so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie didn't have enough plot to fill a 90-minute movie. So they just relied on stalking sequences.
Mm-hmm.
And when you overuse POV in a movie, it's so boring.
Yeah. And it was so obvious as to what was going on. Like, it was I wouldn't even call it a mystery. It was more like a, hey, here's who's doing it, and wait until the end where we tell you, here it is again. I was so disappointed. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. Although I do love the couple at the beginning who are full on, completely naked, and they get attacked by the killer while they're in the alley behind the theater. These people are completely nude in a friggin' alley having sex.
Awful.
Whoa, Australia. Whoa. They were down under and walkabout.
Uh-huh.
So, next up is Carolyn Monroe.
Ugh.
The one and the only Carolyn Monroe. She plays Carla.
Beautiful. She's so good.
She becomes Miss Kronos for a brief time. Their relationship is amazing. I recently rewatched Slaughter High, and she's the best thing about that movie.
From over a decade later.
Yep.
And so she's playing a high school student over a decade later.
Perfect casting. What are you talking about?
I'm saying, of course, she's also in Don't Open Till Christmas with a song.
Oh, yes. She shows up for her song, she sings it, and she gets out of there.
Makes her money, gets out. Brilliant.
Good for her.
She was on Gary Newman's own label. He started a label, Newman Records, and he signed Caroline Monroe. It's a true story.
That's awesome. Good for him.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got John Cater, who plays Grost.
MVP.
Holy shit.
Telling you.
This dude's, his credits are crazy. Just the horror stuff. He was in both Dr. Phibes movies with Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm.
He was in an episode of Thriller.
Preach it, brother.
He was also in The Woman in Black, the TV version.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have been dying to rewatch.
So good.
I can't remember if I saw the original version. I remember watching the movie they made years later. And I've now forgotten everything. So
Really?
I think it's time to add The Woman in Black to our Ghost Stories for Christmas viewing that we do every year.
That would be brilliant. There is a Blu-ray.
Nice. Because Leah and I are fake British people.
So are we. Y'all are more fake British than we are. I'm gonna give you a little peek behind the curtains, or the curtain. There's only one curtain. Make that clear. They're really good at being British, and we do not do as well. But we aspire to Richard and Leetta. Also, Leetta send us a postcard for everything, and we say this is amazing. And let's start sending them postcards for everything. And we never do.
It's okay.
We got one.
It's a commitment.
They all go on the fridge. Every single one of them. And that's Brad, I guarantee you.
Do you think that I would do that if not for Leetta? No, sir.
No.
I owe all my success to Leetta. No.
Yes. But sometimes you write them. So.
That's true. I write very wise. I write very wise things on them.
They're very intelligent, very smart, very forward-looking things that you write.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's true.
So John Cater plays Grost. He is our pal Kronos' right-hand man. He's got an extra shoulder on his back.
Wikipedia lists his name as Professor Hieronymus Grost, which I don't recall them ever saying Hieronymus in the film. Maybe it's in the screenplay.
He introduces himself as that to somebody.
Does he?
But he does. But it's like, he's such a great character. He's so cool.
Yes. Van Helsing.
He's got the hunchback going, but he's no Igor. He's a very, he's like the coolest character in the movie.
He is. He's so cheerful, except for one time, but they take care of that.
He gets a little bummed out. Next up, we got Lois Dane. She's Sarah. She's another member of the Durward family, who we will get into in a bit. I'm trying to remember where else I've seen her. She did not act as much as her pals in the movie. This is her only horror credit, so my ignorance takes over.
No, she doesn't have a Wikipedia entry even, so she's a nobody, like I am.
Whatever. Lame.
Lame-o.
Oh, man. Next up is Ian Hendry, who is awesome. Oh,
Brilliant.
my God. Ian Hendry.
Character actor.
So
yes.
Cool. Yes. He does not get enough screen time, but he steals the movie for when he's in it.
Absolutely.
He plays Caro, the bandit. Oh, my God. He was in The Bitch with Joan Collins. His name in that movie is Thrush Feather.
Thrush Feather.
Oh,
wow. Whoa. He's in Tales from the Crypt, Theater of Blood.
Oh my God. Damien, Omen 2.
Nice.
That is awesome. He was in Repulsion. Holy shit.
Wow. I haven't seen that in a long time.
I remember it.
You know why I haven't seen it in a long time? You got a guess?
You don't like horror movies. You don't like black and white movies.
That is a good guess. Folks, write your guess in on a 4x7 note card and send it to...
Yep.
It's got nothing to do with Roman Polanski.
Really? Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking.
Okay.
I just don't like Repulsion.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I have no problems with you not liking that movie. Wanda Ventham is next in the movie. She plays Lady Durward. She's the mommy Durward. And this lady also liked to work quite a bit.
She did. What was her best job?
Oh. Doctor Who? Wow.
Yeah. Did you see she had some children?
No.
Yes. She is the mother to one Benedict Timothy Carlton Cumberbatch.
What?
True story.
That's incredible. He's a Nepo baby.
He really is. Because she was in The Sweeney, The Avengers, The Saint, Doctor Who. But yeah.
She was in The Blood Beast Terror.
Who wasn't?
Oh, man. I want to rewatch that now. I like that one.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, she also did stunt work for The Blood Beast Terror and appeared in costume as the blank monster.
The blank monster.
I don't want to give it away.
Don't do it. So yeah, that's our main characters. There's a lot of other people in the movie. I didn't want to get too lost in tracing down all of these different people's freaking careers. Was there anybody you wanted to mention specifically?
The central cast is brilliant. I mean, they're really, really good. It's a great assemblage. John Cater and John Carson. I have trouble because their names are so similar. They're both great. I think Horst Jansen is great. And obviously Caroline Munro is Caroline Munro in 1974.
Oh, man, absolutely.
And Ian Hendry is a great character actor as well. And as you said, he steals the scene that he's in.
I do have a Spanish horror connection. There is one person I knew I recognized her, but I could not place her. Her name is Susanna East. She's the brunette victim of the vampire in this movie. Her character's name is Isabella. She was in a little movie directed by Jose Ramon Larraz called Emma Puertas Oscuras, where she plays Emma.
Really?
She's the main girl. She also pops up in Beware My Brethren.
I haven't seen Emma. As you know, I'm a big Jose Ramon Larraz fan, but I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you're in for a treat, dude. It's so good.
Really?
So good.
I have a new objective now, and that is that.
You should watch it. It is absolutely great. I have a few of his I've been saving for myself, too. A few thrillers that I've not gotten to yet, but I'm looking forward to.
We've got that box set, and the only one we haven't watched is what I suspect to be a sex film.
Yep.
a dirty bird film.
The Horsey of horse movies.
Yes. Yes.
But no, it was also called The Fiend. That's the other title for good old Beware My Brethren, which is pretty good. I like that one.
I don't think I've seen that one either.
So yes, folks, we're going to jump into this plot now. We've got some key scenes. So you're going to get the gist, but you're not going to get the entire movie. But also, if you get spoiled by us, think how much better the movie's going to be when you watch it.
Indeed.
So the movie opens up. We got girls alone in the woods, and they get separated for a moment. And the blonde girl with the hilarious wig gets attacked by a creature in a dark cloak. And when her friend comes back and brings the father, they find her, and she's turned into what I wrote. You know what? This isn't my handwriting. I didn't write this. Someone else must be pranking me. It says she turned into a dried up old biatch. But that doesn't sound like something I would write in my notes. I'm a serious film watch man.
You are a gentleman and a scholar, and I don't believe you wrote that. I believe somebody snuck in your house and did it.
I'm not ageist.
No, not at all.
So we get that theme song, baby. Let's talk about this freaking theme song. It is awesome.
It really is.
And the font. Oh, the font is so cool. We've got our boy Captain Kronos and Grost riding into the credits, which introduces the theme to this movie, which is a little bit of a Western theme, a little bit of a spaghetti Western, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Which was funny because, the Italians were like, yeah, we're done with Westerns now. But the rest of the world was still, their theaters were still packed with leftover spaghetti Westerns.
Well, yeah, they were for years.
God. So, exactly. And we even have our buddy Kronos chewing on a cheroot, one of those nasty frickin' cigars that no one on Earth should smoke.
Ever.
I mean, even I have my standards. They find Carolyn Monroe, and she's chained up in the stocks, and people have been throwing tomatoes at her.
Terrible. Why? Why would you do that?
Her crime, though, Brad, it's worth it because her crime disgusted me. It was she danced. She danced on a Sunday.
How dare she?
This movie.
Like you're out in the woods with a group of people, and you're like, yes, we're going to put Caroline Monroe in the stocks.
Yep.
I think I would be one that would say, let's not do this.
Exactly.
And what crime have you committed?
I danced on a Sunday.
They pick her up as one of their pals, so she joins up with these two badasses, and they ride off to meet Dr. Marcus, who's Kronos' pal from back in the war days. I'm assuming Vietnam or something.
Yeah, that's about the time period.
So I believe this is when Grost runs through the different types of vampires or the different species. Brad, what is going on with this moment? What is he talking about?
So he's telling him it's a vampire. And he's like, I don't think it's a vampire because they're not drained of blood. But they're being drained of their youth. And there are many different vampires. And some you have to kill by decapitation. Some you have to kill by fire, water, stake through the heart. So they're going to have to discover which species of vampire this is and how to kill that particular species.
Yes.
And so it's a completely different, it's not any other Hammer vampire film. It is a vampire that takes away someone's youth and leaves them a dried up husk of a person that dies immediately. So it's very exciting. And you've got a hero here, a true swashbuckler that with his own personal Van Helsing along, who is obviously knowledgeable about vampires also. But
Nice.
I also feel like that they also probably fought things other than vampires, like werewolves and those cash advance places.
M. Scott.
Right.
Which sadly is no longer one of our sponsors, folks. Over the break we lost them. It's very sad.
Oh, you.
You see, Doctor, there are as many species of vampire as there are beasts of prey. Their methods and their motive for attack can vary in 100 different ways.
So now that Carla knows what this is all about, they of course, ask her if she wants to skedaddle and get away from this because it's dangerous work they're going to be doing. And one of my favorite lines in the movie is when asked if she's leaving, Carla says, "I'm staying if you'll have me." To which Kronos replies, "Oh, I'll have you."
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, instead of just saying yes with a glance, he says, I'm doing it.
Part of the mechanics of this amazing vampire mechanics in this movie is to track this vampire to see if it's been nearby. They figure out a stalking ground of where the attacks have happened, and they bury a bunch of dead frogs in little boxes with holes in them.
They do.
And they go toad in the hole because the vampire will help resurrect dead frogs, which I love that. There's been a vampire here.
Then the vampire life shall give, and suddenly the toad shall live.
See? That was the first rap song.
Ever.
Yep. That's the one that Eric B. and Rakim sampled for their song Toad in the Hole.
White lines. Don't do it.
Oh, don't do it. So next up, of course, there's a couple who are sort of having a consensual moment. Brad, what is up with this couple in the woods?
Well, he's trying to do what dudes do, and she's ready to go home. And he wants to follow her, take her home, and she's like, "Nope, my dad will kill you." And he's like, "Well, if I don't walk with you, you'll probably get killed anyway." And that's exactly what happens. She walks up over a hill. It's a great scene because we follow her. She walks up over a hill and she dips down and she comes back up, and then she dips down again and does not dip back up. It's a well thought out scene. It's very visually neat to see her just disappear, and of course he runs to her, but to no avail.
And the vampire can be heard singing, "Only takes a minute, girl, to fall in love." There's a moment. Only takes a moment. I don't remember the lyrics. But yeah, no, I love that scene. It's part of the vibe. This movie has got the vibe, the Euro horror goodness, and that's the first moment where I'm like, oh, actually it's the second. The first time the vampire attack being in the movie, it's so great. So great. Of course, there are forces at work trying to stop Captain Kronos and Grost and Dr. Marcus from solving any of this stuff. And someone pays some ne'er-do-wells at a bar to, take care of Dr. Kronos, take care of Captain Kronos. I know, I'd elevate him to a doctor.
It's Captain Dr. Kronos.
Captain Dr. Kronos, master of the mystic arts. Yeah. Brad, what happens at the bar scene? Tell me about the bar scene.
Ian Hendry's scene is split into two. So we get the first scene is where you see somebody sitting there at the bar. There is a blind girl with a blindfold sitting there to the side. It's like out of an Argento film. No one ever. She's not part of the scene. She has no dialogue, but she's just sitting there. There's a picture on her table. It's brilliant. It's part of the genius of this film, in my opinion. The set design and just placing her in this scene. So one of the horse comes down the stairs and they don't give her money, or they throw it in a spittoon. And one guy sitting in the bar is not amused by these idiots. Unfortunately, these idiots are very, very handy with a sword. So they make him grovel, and then they stab him. So it sets up these guys are Cro-Magnons, but they're really good with their swords. So then when we go back to them, Captain Kronos and Grost have come into the bar, and Captain Kronos asks the barkeep, have you seen horses or a wagon come through here? And the Cro-Magnon men are mouthing off, and Captain Kronos is ignoring them until they start making fun of Grost and his hunchback. So Captain Kronos calls him on the shit, and in one of the most wonderful scenes ever, it's like the showdown in a spaghetti western. Everybody draws, and Captain Kronos slits all of their throats one way and another way, puts his sword back in his scabbard, in about this quickly. They're dead, and he turns around and he says to the barkeep, "You still haven't answered my question. Have you seen some horses or a wagon come through here?" It's a wonderful scene. Ian Hendry was a known tough guy in a lot of films back then, certainly a known quantity. So just to bring him in for this essential cameo was a brilliant move. He is a tough guy in the first scene, but Captain Kronos is extremely fast. Yep. Extremely fast.
I love Ian Hendry's death scene too, because his buddies fall first, but he's dying and walking. Is like a dead man walking kind of thing. It's so cool.
It is really good.
Oh, I love it.
To make sport of a physical affliction is both impolite and cruel. After all, I wouldn't dream of calling you Ratface, Fatty, or Big Mouth.
So this is when we get more of the family. This Paul Durwood, Derek Durwood, whatever his name is. We find out that when Dr. Marcus visits, that there's something strange with the family. There's books about witchcraft and necromancy just laying around the house. Mm-hmm. The sisters being very weird, very much she's down on getting old because their mother has turned into this dilapidated old creature. Mm-hmm. And I'm all for it. I'm all for this weird gothic, the whole decaying family, like Usher kind of a family thing. I'm loving it.
Perfect.
And then Dr. Marcus is coming home, and he kind of has a blackout.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what happened. Something happens, and he kind of like comes to in the woods like, what? But then when he goes home and he's shaving, he notices that he's like 5 or 10 years younger than he was before.
Yeah. It's readily apparent.
He's like, Kronos, Grost, it's me. I regret to inform you, I am the vampire. I didn't know. So
I don't know what happened.
How do they figure out that A, he's a vampire, and B, what to do about it? What goes on in this part?
I mean, they figure out he's a vampire because he is much younger, and he says, "Oh my gosh, I killed that girl." That's how they figure out he's a vampire. How to kill him is they go through a hilarious yet sad series of events of brutalized killing him, trying to kill him, failing at killing him. They hang him. They do this. They do that. They pull out they have ornate stakes. That's another thing about the film that I really enjoy. They have these beautifully ornate wooden stakes.
Oh yeah.
In case they run into traditional vampires. So they stake him and then they hang him. And I think they burn him, but the thing that kills him is when his steel cross enters into a wound. So they see that steel is what kills this particular kind of vampire, which we're calling youth vampirism. I mean, that's what I'm calling it.
Isn't that what happened to us? Like didn't someone, like, we run into one of these creatures that stole our youth?
Yes, we did. It's called time.
Damn you!
And
Damn you!
we don't know what kills time yet. We're still working on it.
Nope, not yet. I'm getting mixed up with the timeline here of this freaking movie. All I know is that there's a scene at the graveyard,
yes,
where our bud Kronos runs into the Durwood family, and we learn a little bit about the patriarch of the family who has died, who's a master swordsman.
Yes, I've got some notes on that. If you don't, or
please, I do not.
Okay, so his daughter's there. Captain Kronos said, "It is said few saw his blade, but only felt it when it found its match." And then she says he never saw his match, and Captain Kronos says, "Except in God," which I thought was cool. And
very cool.
There is actually a giant statue of Sir Mr. Dead Durwood, and the engraving or whatever says his sword now sleeps, which I thought was another particular nice touch.
I love it.
Mother?
The bloom of youth. Why should that appall you? Is it wrong to be young and beautiful again? You forget, I am a Castine by birth, and the Castines are blessed with many dark secrets. It has taken me 7 years, 7 long years to bring them into play, to make me what I am now, never to grow old. Isn't that as precious as life itself? It is life itself. And so life begins again for me and for your father.
Father is dead.
No. Father is dead. Dead of the plague. No. Never dead. Just sleeping, as you shall see for yourself.
Well, there's a whole thing where, we finally find out that, yes, the Durwood family is the culprits in this horrific youth sucking that's been going around, which I probably shouldn't say that phrase ever again.
Never record it.
You better not. I wrote in my notes, bat to the face, which I thought was great. A lady gets a bat to the face. I don't remember when that happened. And also, I wrote in my notes, you've got rats on your face, which I also don't know when that happened. My notes have broken down at this point.
So they figure out that the Durwoods are behind it, and so they bait the trap with Carolyn Monroe. So they send her to the Durwoods' house, and then they're going to break in later. She's going to let them in, and what happens? What happens when we get there and they break in?
We have this huge showdown. Good old Grost has made our buddy Kronos a special sword with which to kill them that has a little reflector piece on it. And when Mama Vamp of the Durwood family tries to hypnotize him, he uses the reflective part to confuse her, and then she frickin' hypnotizes herself.
Right. So the first time you watched it, before there was the reveal that old Lady Durwood was actually young, lovely Lady Cumberbatch, did you suspect that it could be Sir Mr. Dead Durwood?
No, I had no clue.
You never suspected him. You just assumed it was...
No. The kids.
I think the kids, really. So here is something that I thought about and wrote down as a note. The kids are sinister throughout the entire film.
Exactly.
And then after her, the daughter, who is very androgynous, she dresses very in a lot of men's clothing, it appears. After being exposed as not part of it, she appears in a very feminine nightgown. I thought that was interesting. Was that a choice that they made? That she basically wore kind of like severe looking men's riding clothes and stuff. She looked it was androgynous, but her clothing was masculine. And then as soon as we find out that she's not part of it, boom, she's in a feminine nightgown.
Ah, I like that. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, I thought it was.
The mother had them fooled the whole time. She was wearing a mask, this aged mask, while she was busy stealing all this youth so that she could make her dead husband not only resurrect him, make him like her so they could both feed off of the youth of the land.
Right.
And sure enough, no one has been a match for Kronos. There's a great moment where a bunch of angry villagers try to take him down, like 8 dudes, and he doesn't break a sweat taking those 8 losers down. But he has sort of met his match with this guy, the returned Durwood, which is impossible to take seriously. Durwood.
Yeah, it's pretty
Is your
bad.
sword plastic? I love him. He's just got a pool noodle. Oh, here comes Durwood. He's like, I don't know where I was going with that. Evil is defeated. The kids are left completely horrified.
Mm-hmm.
But, it could be worse. They could just be vamps. But they, I'm sure a little therapy will get them through it, because I know a lot of therapy was popular back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
Carla decides to stay behind, and, she and Kronos have this like really cool goodbye, not a tearful goodbye, but like a cool goodbye that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the first movie. This is the first one of the Captain Kronos series.
Yeah.
Brad, let's go through the other films.
All right, there was Captain Kronos versus Napoleon Werewolf.
Captain Kronos, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter.
There was Captain Kronos and the Planet of the Apes. There was the one where he teamed up with Zach Morris to take on Godzilla.
Yep. The communist one, Captain Kronos versus the Red Menace. Very exciting.
Better dead than red, Captain Kronos.
To cook great spaghetti with meat sauce, an Italian cook always starts with fresh pasta. So does Kraft. Then she combines freshly ground beef with tomatoes, herbs, and spices. So does Kraft. Finally, she sprinkles with aged Parmesan. And so does Kraft. It's all complete in Kraft's spaghetti with meat sauce dinner.
So some of the crew that worked on this film, before we get into some trivia and how we liked it, some of the crew in this movie on the musical music is Laurie Johnson, who he has a girl's name, but he's a man baby. Oh, he just passed away this year.
Dang, yeah.
Wow. Did the music for Dr. Strangelove. And
how do you feel about Dr. Strangelove?
I never need to see it again.
Boom.
But I find it very funny. But it's like one of those films that I got it. I saw it twice. I'm good to go.
Right. I saw it once, and I was good to go.
Exactly.
I let people in on a little behind the scenes. What I really think.
Oh, here we go. Let's do it.
Oh, no, I did.
Oh, you did? That's all we did. You want to...
Well, Repulsion. Remember when I'm Repulsion?
Yep.
Yeah, and then now...
Yep, I remember that.
Now I said whatever I said.
And let's move on. We got Ian Wilson, who is the cinematographer on this, and he shot some fun shit. What did he shoot? Oh, he shot Queen Kong. Oh, boy. He shot And Soon the Darkness.
There you go.
And Fright from 1971, which is a pretty freaky home invasion movie I have not seen more than once.
With Susan George?
Is that Susan George? Yeah.
Yeah. That there's a video on YouTube, and it is titled however many unrated or underseen 70s horror films or something. And they play an early scene from that film, which leads you to believe that the film is one way, when it's not, but it's a great scene. And so I actually own that on DVD and Blu-ray. It's a good film. You just have to, adjust your sight on it.
He shot something I've always been curious about, but have never seen, called Dream Demon. from 1988, which has Timothy Spall is in it. Oh man, Kathleen Wilhoit. Kathleen Wilhoit from Witchboard.
Yes, I love Kathleen
She's
Wilhoit.
amazing.
She's
amazing.
She's the medium, right?
Oh my god. Yep.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
She's so funny. Oh my god. Okay, and now I have to see this. Oh no, wait, I have seen that. He shot the house in Nightmare Park, a very carry-on type horror film, which is very silly.
Really?
I had completely forgotten that I'd seen it until just now. That was good old Frankie Howard. And if you've ever seen Frankie Howard being British as British can be, your results may vary.
Understood.
He kind of ruins the movie by being in it.
Wow.
But Brian Clemens, he also was one of the producers on this film. Man, he really was all in on Captain Kronos.
Yes, Thriller, the series, the UK series. If I'm not mistaken, he wrote every single episode.
Wow. Holy shit.
If he didn't, it was close to it. And a lot of them are cliched, but they weren't quite so cliched then. Like a lot of times you could figure it out, you know. But they're great because they take place in England in the 70s. They usually have some sort of American co-star or lead so that they could play them here on ABC. ABC had a deal, and it's the Wide World of Mystery or something like that. When you look at IMDb, oftentimes you'll see the ABC Mystery of the Week or whatever it was called and an episode of Thriller UK when they are actually the same. They did have some extra scenes filmed for American. They very rarely had the original people from the episode. It was just filler. But I'm a huge fan of Thriller. Elizabeth bought me the set from the UK many years ago, and it's a great show.
I need to get that because you have talked so much about that show. I really
there's some duds, don't get me wrong, but there's some really outstanding episodes, and on the whole, it is very, very good.
Nice. The other producer is Albert Fennell. He was a producer on Legend of Hell House, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, the aforementioned And Soon the Darkness, the very good Night of the Eagle.
Yes.
Which I think which is based on The Conjure Wife.
Yes. Burn Witch Burn is also an alternate title.
That's it. Yeah, that's a freaking great movie.
I've been looking for that book forever, and you found a copy.
Oh, yeah.
While we were looking at the bookstore when we were down there, and you made sure that Lietta didn't have a copy, and I got it. And so it's an excellent black and white horror film and an excellent book.
No, the book's great. He also is an associate producer on the frickin' Peeping Tom of all things.
Nice.
Which I haven't seen that in, good Lord, I don't think I've seen that in 15 years at least.
Yeah, it's probably been 12 for me, probably.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Longer than that, maybe 14.
Yeah. It's not a go-to for me. I do like it, but it's not like I gotta watch that all the time.
Absolutely, I think it's a really good film, great film. It's not one that I go to either.
Yeah,
not Black Christmas,
Yeah, it's no Legend of Hell House,
Nope.
So trivia, we got some trivia about this. This was filmed in 1972, but not released until 1974. It was the same year as Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. And The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. So it was Hammer's, would that just be their fall? Would that be like the end of their most productive era?
So after that, they released The Satanic Rites Dracula, I believe was 1974. And then The Devil a Daughter was the last film.
Oh, that's the one I always forget.
And that, but yes, basically you're right. They only had they had another film that year and one film later, and that was it for film.
Wow.
They did go into the TV production with Hammer House of Mystery and Hammer House of Horror, but no, that this was pretty much the last gasp. That is obviously the fact that Captain Kronos didn't do better is why we didn't get. It was going to be a series. We were going to see Captain Kronos in different eras. Credit to Rod of NashyCast. Here we are, 45 years later, and I'm still mentioning him from time to time. He called it the Doctor Who of vampire hunters, and I'm like, that's always a great way I've thought to think about it. We'd just we'd see him in different eras, fighting different vampires or different phenomena in different times. It would have been a lot of fun because it is such a unique and great film. It's my favorite Hammer film.
Wow, that's awesome. Horst Janssen, as Brad mentioned, was dubbed. His accent was too thick. So they brought in an actor named Julian Holloway to loop the entire performance. Carolyn Monroe refused to do nude scenes. So she's wearing, according to the internet, flesh-colored knickers and her hair to cover her breasts. And it's one of those things where I have a feeling if you watch this as a kid, you'd remember her being naked. And then when you watch as an adult, you're like, oh, what?
Yeah, I don't think she even needed to be naked.
Exactly. That was my next thought, was good for her. Good for her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I would have minded, but I think that it's fine that she didn't.
The name Kronos is the Greek name of the leader of the mythological Titans. His name is otherwise rendered in English as Kronos or Kronos. Kronos with a K was a harvest god, typically depicted with a harpy type sword. I'm not sure what that means, or a scythe or a sickle.
Interesting.
Ingrid Pitt turned down Wanda Ventham's role, so Ingrid Pitt could have been Lady Durwood. I already forgot the whole Durwood clan. And of course, we this was revealed in the movie that they were Karnstein. They were related to the Karnsteins in some way.
Sure.
Was this part of that cycle of films?
No, it wasn't.
I can't remember. It wasn't? Okay.
No.
But that would have tied it together probably.
Sure, absolutely. And you know what? So Benedict Cumberbatch's mom got the job. Ha ha.
Ha ha, in your face, Ingrid Pitt. You're the Pitts.
Yeah. I mean, I like Ingrid Pitt, but
yeah, of course. Yeah, I totally didn't mean that.
We didn't mean it, Ingrid.
Don't at me, bro.
Uh-uh.
So good old Brian Clemens, he was really keen to use the actor Simon Oates as Captain Kronos, but of course we got our lovely Janssen. Simon Oates was in Doomwatch, which I've always been curious about Doomwatch because it's a movie, and I recorded the movie once and I couldn't get into it. And then later I was like, oh, it's based on a show. I want to see the show. And that means, of course, importing a freaking British DVD.
Right.
Which, I have every other British show on DVD.
Right.
But Brad, since this is your favorite Hammer, unless you have more trivia.
So I actually bought this when our Hollywood Video went out of business. I bought their copy. This was out of print already at the time. So I bought their rental copy. Anytime I mention this, that I bought a few films. Primer was one. They were closing only for a little while, and they were going to reopen. And I'm using bunny fingers here, and I'm like, sure you are, and they didn't. I'm not even sure. I've loved Hammer films all my life. There are some that mean a lot to me. And I don't think I actually saw this one as a child. I think I was grown when I first saw it. But it is so unique. It's so different. It's well directed. I love the screenplay. It's funny in places, but not like just laugh out loud. But it's got a sense of humor about it. But it's also very serious, very atmospheric. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. This is my favorite Hammer horror film.
Nice. So I definitely didn't see this as a kid. I wish I had. But this is spooky. All of the vampire attacks are really effective and just like scary to me. Mm-hmm. The gothic stuff is there without leaning too hard on it because they have to have the swashbuckling angle you talked about. Right. They have to do the spaghetti western stuff. And of course, spaghetti westerns, they borrow a lot from samurai movies. And so freaking when our magical man Kronos does that swipe with his sword, that was a freaking katana type, the samurai sword. And so it's like, I love it. I love how chill Kronos is. He like only springs into action when he needs to. The rest of the time he just rests and smokes his long cigars, which of course are probably full of chronic blunt.
What about when he would rest with the handkerchief on his face and he would just breathe in and out and she would lay on him?
Oh my God. That's another running gag in the movie is he moves too fast for her to see. So Carolyn Monroe would be leaning on him and all of a sudden he'd vanish and she'd be falling over because he moves so fast.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. Thank you. That's so good.
So much fun.
I love the blind girl in the bar, although I suspect she was Alanis Morissette the whole time.
Really?
It just looked like her. The mystery angle.
Ironic.
The mystery angle's really fun.
It is. The scene in the church where you could see the shadow of the crucifix. Yes.
Yes. Where the lady, she's going to pray, and of course the cross moves a little, and then she's walking towards it, and it moves more than you realize. It's a figure standing with its arms outstretched and gets her. It's like, oh, so good. Yeah, this is top notch. I'm completely blown away by this movie, and thank you so much for sending me the Blu-ray, sir.
You are welcome. I was happy to.
I liked it the first time I saw it. I liked it a little more the second time, and I absolutely love this movie. This is, I think, third viewing, and it just blew me away completely.
Yes, I've done my job.
Boom. I suspect that although we might be done talking about Kronos,
we are.
Captain America, Master of the Mystic Arts, Dr. Vampire. Brad, do you have something for us, me and the listeners?
Yes. It's a little different. Here's what we're going to do. You, the Twilight Zone or the Outer Limits?
Oh, shit. Man. I'm going to say my answer is entirely based on what I've seen the most of.
Okay.
With the caveat of I need to see more of the other. So, of course, because of those Thanksgiving Day marathons.
Right.
I have seen many, many episodes of Twilight Zone.
Gotcha.
Why I said it like that, Twilight Zone. I put the emphasis on zone. I have seen so much of that. Of the old black and white show. I've seen a little of the remake in the 80s.
Right.
And that's it. I've seen so little of the Outer Limits. I probably haven't even seen more than 3 of those.
They always compare them to each other. I don't think it's quite fair because the Twilight Zone did all kinds of different things where the Outer Limits was primarily science fiction.
Oh, shit.
Are you there?
Yep, sorry, my phone hung up on you.
Nope, all good. I was saying something. What was it?
You were saying that it's not fair to compare the two. Twilight Zone doing different stuff.
Yeah, Twilight Zone had all kinds of different things where the Outer Limits was primarily science fiction. Next question. Tales from the Dark Side or Tales from the Crypt?
You know what? I watched way more of Tales from the Dark Side as a youngin'. And then as an adult, I wanted to see more Tales from the Crypt. So I bought some seasons.
Right.
With the FYE going out of business.
Sad.
Never watched them. So I am going to go ahead and say, I'm curious about Tales from the Crypt. I would like to reacquaint myself with it because I did see some episodes, probably season 1 or season 2. But Tales from the Dark Side, even though it has some brutally bad episodes, brutally. The only thing worse than the bad episodes of Tales from the Dark Side is that DVD set that they sold.
Oh, I've got it.
Brad,
I got it for Christmas.
Our friends out there listening to this episode, you have probably watched some freaking VHS rips in your days. You've watched some movies that were dark and shitty looking.
Greek subtitles all over them.
Greek subtitles,
Yes.
Japanese subtitles
Yes.
from the old Laserdisc, copy of a copy of a copy.
Mhm.
How the hell somebody managed to find the shittiest copies of a broadcast TV show in America it's unwatchable. That set, it hurt my eyes. And I'm not just spoiled because of Blu-rays.
No.
It was that bad.
It's bad, and it's David Ladd. I always talk about the one that's comparable to how bad the Tales from the Dark Side one is Friday the 13th, the series. I actually think Tales from the Dark Side looks better than Friday the 13th, the series. It is real hard to watch. Now I've got a big TV, but still, they look like we watch them. It's because I love the series, and so we make an effort. Wow, I did not expect you to say Tales from the Dark Side.
Yep.
So that leads into the final part of my question time, which is, how do you feel about Demon Knight, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, and Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood from the 90s?
Okay.
And I'll tell you the reason why I asked this after you answer.
Okay. Well, I have heard recently that this is one person's opinion I ran into, that they were recommending revisiting Bordello of Blood. Like, hey guys, give Bordello of Blood another chance.
Right.
It really is not as bad as you remember, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, I'm not saying I'll never do that, but I saw that on cable when it was new, and I turned it off. I hated it.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, Dennis Miller. No, I would never apologize to him. He's an idiot. Dennis Miller is so irritating that I was an 80s kid as hell, and I thought he was the funniest person on earth on SNL because I was like 8 years old. Didn't know what he was talking about, but he's good at delivering a joke. Unfortunately, he has no range. So he's always Dennis Miller in everything, whether he's football, pissing people off by making insane references during a football game that he's announcing, or I just hate him as an actor. I hate him as an actor.
I forgot that he was in it until you said this.
All right.
I'm glad you said that, because is Corey Feldman in it?
Yes.
That's what I remember, is Corey Feldman being in it.
Yes. Demon Knight.
Right.
That went off like a bomb in the 90s. I saw that in the theater. I don't know if it was opening weekend or what, but man, everybody just ran out of that theater so jazzed. That movie is awesome and so fun. And I couldn't wait to get that Blu-ray and show Lietta, because she had never seen it. And because she's a big Billy Zane fan.
Dang. Then,
and we had a great time. We had a great time, and I absolutely love that. I'm not like I said, I'm not gonna never give Bordello of Blood another chance, but I'm never gonna watch it again.
Sure. No, I got you. Yeah, makes perfect sense.
I don't trust that one person who said that you should give it another shot. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Okay, so well, I asked you about the movies, and then I asked you about the series before the movies, thinking that you'd answer a certain way, and then I asked you about just comparing another two similar-ish series. Anyway, so at the Capitol here in Bowling Green tomorrow night, I mean, they're never going to hear this in time. Anybody that would ever listen locally, I don't think anyone does anyway. They are playing Demon Knight, and they're younger guys, younger than me. I'm old. They are really, really excited about Demon Knight. They're playing it tomorrow night. So I commented and I said, wow, I'm really, it's very, I saw both of them. I saw Bordello of Blood and I saw Demon Knight at the theater. If a movie came out in a certain period of the 90s, then I saw it.
Same.
So,
same.
yeah, exactly. So we saw them both. I remember I did not care for so much for comedy and my horror then. So I was never a fan, really. I want to
Right.
give them another chance now. And of course, I tell Elizabeth, yes. She's like, her friend messaged her and said, "Are y'all going to see it tomorrow night?" And she said, "No." And Elizabeth's like, "I don't think I've even seen it, but I'm not sure." And I'm like, "Yeah, you've seen it. Billy Zane." I'm like, "You remember we watched it 1,000 years ago and about 6,000 movies ago." But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. Well, not really interesting. I find it sad that movies during the 90s are so old now that they have been reappraised by a younger generation, and probably two, if I'm honest. What are we, probably two away from the mid 90s, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
anyway, I thought that I wanted to get your opinion because obviously you were a young fella as I was in the 90s, and to see what you thought about those. I would be in no hurry to revisit Bordello Blood myself. You're spot on about Miller. He's one thing, and there's no up or down or range. He's just one thing. And I had completely forgotten that he was in it. For some reason, I thought that Corey Feldman was the star, I guess, and that's not right. But anyway, I do remember. I remember us enjoying Demon Knight when we watched it on DVD. So I'm excited about giving that one another shot. But like I said, if you're listening and you've got a time machine, go to the Capitol and see it.
People, I don't know if people can relate to this now, but movies were very affordable when we were younger.
Oh, sure.
And there was, if you grew up in certain areas that had no scene of any kind, music or whatever,
yeah, I was
you
there.
had nothing to do. You had nothing to do but go to the movies.
Yeah.
And if you were dating someone in the 90s or the late 80s, that was it. And that extended to the early 2000s when Leanne and I were dating. When Leanne and I were dating, that's what we did every weekend.
Sure.
We would just go to the movies. We saw some terrible movies. I saw some terrible movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I also saw so much stuff. It's like the recently defunct podcast, the Retro Movie Love podcast, which we recently just went off the air. Sadly.
Very sad.
He was talking about his movie lists of when he was younger, and he was a movie buff from childhood, so he saw so much stuff. But there's years where he would do a retrospective year, 92, 93, 94. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yep, saw that. Yep, saw that. Yep, saw that. Yep, saw that. Because I just went to everything.
Yeah.
Because I had nothing going on.
Exactly. No, we would go to the movies with girls in hopes that they would date us.
Yep.
And
I would go to the movies alone because I had nothing else to do.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, they didn't date us, but it was aspirational,
That's when you went to the theater and you saw your friends and you're like, oh no, wait, there's my date. And you're waving to someone you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We saw every live action Disney film that came out in a specific period of the 90s.
Wow.
And I'm talking Blank Check, Disney's Blank Check. I'm talking,
what?
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Yeah, we went.
I saw Clifford in the theater.
Amazing. Somebody got murdered at our theater out in the street. What? They got stabbed.
Oh my.
And so of course it made my parents didn't want us going. Parents didn't want kids going to the theater because somebody got stabbed on the street outside the theater. It wasn't a theater specific stabbing. It was a stabbing that was going to occur wherever these two characters came upon each other. So, but the theater got the blame for it. They never played, the one there in town in Shelbyville never played anything worse than PG-13. There were no R-rated films there that I recall ever. We had to go to Tullahoma or Murfreesboro.
Wait a minute. Did you just mention Shelbyville?
Shelbyville, Tennessee. Yeah, that's where
Wasn't that the town that was next door to the Simpsons town? Didn't they always have a beef with Shelbyville?
They do. There's Shelbyville, Indiana. There's several Shelbyvilles.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Shelbyvilles
that lay claim to that Shelbyville is the walking horse capital of the world.
Ooh.
So they walk fancy, and they have a show about it. And everybody,
nice.
Yeah, the town smells like horse shit. Everybody leaves and rents their houses out. They shut school down. I mean, this is what they did in the 90s. I don't know. Maybe they don't now. But yeah, I think there's been lots of scandal in the walking horse world with like,
hey,
steroids.
You've met me
stuff.
in person. You've met me in person twice.
Twice.
You've seen me. That's how I walk.
Right. Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to mention that.
It's my natural gait. Oh man, those were great questions. I love the barrage of questions.
Thank you. I spent the other day thinking about it.
Which of your favorites of the shows? What are your favorites of those shows?
The shows?
If you had to pick between those two, if those choices.
Dark Side, because of one episode, and that's the one that Tom Savini directed with the girl that rents the room from John Kerry. And there's a little, because when I was a kid, I watched it when it ran, and my aunt came home. My uncle and aunt were newly married, and they lived there at my grandparents' house. She had already seen that episode, and she told me about how scary it was and how I was going to be terrified, and then kind of chased me around the house. And so then I watched the rest of the episode. This was like on a commercial break, so I watched the rest of the episode just freaking terrified. I was scared before. So purely because of that childhood memory, which occurred in 1984, 85, 84, something like that, forever ago. That's one of my essential building blocks, probably, of my horror cinematic life. But Tales from the Crypt's got great episodes too. Again, back when I was younger, I did not like so much comedy in my horror. So Tales from the Crypt is pretty. Of course, the episode, the remake of the film segment of the remake of the comic book, and All Through the Night with the Santa Claus, is amazing. It's got everyone involved in it is just amazing. Dean Cundy is the cinematographer.
Oh wow!
It's fantastic, and it's of course got Larry Drake from Dr. Giggles as the homicidal Santa Claus. Speaking of, I thought there was a Dr. Giggles Blu-ray, and then now I can't find one.
I thought it was coming out.
I did too. Have I missed it?
I don't know. Maybe I did too.
I love Dr. Giggles, and I am not ashamed to admit it on public television.
Nope, it's still out there.
I guess I just don't know what I'm doing.
Giggles, not Dr. Tickles. That's a different
Dr. Googles.
Dr. Kronos.
Captain Dr. Kronos.
So what about Twilight Zone versus
Outer Limits? Oddly enough, I've seen more Outer Limits than I have the Twilight Zone. Obviously, they would used to play Outer Limits marathons like they did Twilight Zone marathons, and my dad would tape them off television, and I would watch them on my own.
Nice.
They're more sci-fi with a little bit of horror kind of mixed in a little bit. The Twilight Zone is obviously one of the greatest television shows ever made. Elizabeth recently, and by recently I mean the Christmas before last, bought the Blu-ray set of all of them for me. Nice. And we started watching them, and of course it trailed off because we're inconsistent. But I love them both. I guess Twilight Zone would probably get the edge because of the storytelling.
The variety you were mentioning earlier.
Exactly.
Cool. I love it. We're back. We did it.
We are. You know what I was going to say earlier? I forgot because we talked a while before the show. I was going to say, first of all, for my introduction, but it makes you angry. But I was going to say, and I'm Scott Bakula, but I didn't. Because I did that once and you got upset, and I'm not going to do that again. I was going to say, shh, it's okay. I'm here now.
See, the thing of you saying you're Scott Bakula is that I've always wanted him. He was my first choice for co-host from the beginning. And you said, I'm Scott Bakula. And I was like, awesome. The very first episode. And it was like episode 23 or something where I found out you weren't.
Right.
So I've never really gotten over that.
I kept up the charade for a while.
Shh, it's all right. I'm here.
Just edit that. Just drop it in the middle of the episode. Just cut it. Just put it right in the middle somewhere where you're like blah blah blah. And I'm like blah blah blah. Like shh. I've had a great time, no matter how this turned out. I don't care.
Oh man, I know. No, dude, I missed you. This is great. This is always wonderful. I never took a break because of like recording with my buds.
No.
It was literally every other aspect of podcast production that made me take a break.
Richard said, we are not going to do anything in 2023. And I said, okay.
No problem.
Yep, I did. You do all the work. How could I say no? How could I say anything? You know?
How dare you?
Richard needs a break. Okay. I am bored.
You're cutting off my money stream. You're cutting off my income, bro.
We lost all of our sponsors. The Cash Advance Place.
Oh,
who was
Pancake.
It? Perfect Pancake. We were riding high on that Perfect Pancake money.
Yeah.
We flew too close to the sun, and they melted.
Yeah. Once the hover round dumped us, it was all over, man.
It was a downward spiral after that.
Oh,
and you think maybe 100 people might listen to this?
I hope 101 people listen to this and go, what? What?
I hope they do. I thought we were going to do recently watched, and I thought, are we going to talk about 18 months?
Shit. Yeah, dude. Let's
No.
on ceremony.
I thought, are we going to talk about 16 months recently seen?
No. So, folks, we do this every episode now where I ask my pal, my co-host, to pick a movie they've recently loved. Brad, what is a film that you have watched recently that you love? It can be any genre, and it can be an old favorite or unseen until now. What do you got?
Dragon Swamp is a Shaw Brothers film. It's a brilliant film. It's got Chang Pei or Pei Chang in it. Nice. It is. It's not really a kung fu film. It's a wuxia film. It is in one of the Shaw Brothers sets. It is a lot of fantasy and romance, and then there is fighting, some swordplay, and some actual fighting. Beautifully choreographed, all the way around. Beautiful sets, matte paintings that you believe because they're believable. But no, that's one that I've recently seen and loved.
Nice.
What about you?
I revisited something. I want to see that movie, by the way, because you were telling me how good it was.
It was really good. Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it.
I watched for the eclipse. We watched something, and my brain is completely.
I know what you watched.
Shut down.
You watched Empire Records.
Yep. Oh yes, and The Awakening. Holy God.
The Awakening. I remembered.
So the Eclipse Day, thank you for remembering. The Eclipse Day happened on Rex Manning Day, so we watched, one of my favorite post-grunge movies called Empire Records, which is an old Lietta favorite. I'd never seen it before. Lietta introduced me to it.
I hated it in the 90s, and I dig it now. I had the soundtrack.
I remember the trailer. And I'm like, I'm never going to watch that.
Yeah. No, Lietta's right.
It's good.
Lietta's right.
Yeah. Solid. We watched The Awakening from 1980, which is something I hadn't seen since you and I did our Manhattan Baby episode.
Outstanding.
Folks at home, I don't know if you know this, but unless we're totally crazy, there's so many similarities between Manhattan Baby from 1982 and The Awakening from 1980. And I imagine that The Awakening was a bigger hit in Italy or something.
Mm-hmm.
But The Awakening, watching it on a nice DVD for the first time, opened up the movie to me, but it also pointed out the issues with the movie, which are it's very, very not what you expect, even if you know what's coming. It zigs when you think it's going to zag. It is metaphysical mummy movie. And if you are looking for a mummy mayhem movie, it is the absolute last thing you should watch. It's not that.
Isn't it based on Jewel, the Seventh Star by Bram Stoker too? Like Blood from the Mummy's Tomb by Hammer?
Yes. I love
They're
Blood
very
from the
much
Mummy's
different
Tomb.
films. Very much different films.
Oh, yes. And I really enjoy The Awakening. I pretty much love it. I just don't want to recommend it to folks who will like watch it when you feel like it and get your hopes out the door, just because it's so weird and so. Watch Dragon Swamp.
Dragon Swamp was awesome.
Yeah,
there's another one that I can't remember, but I'll remember for the next time we record.
Yes, please keep bringing them Shaw boys. Anyway, folks, thank you for listening. Brad and I will be back.
We will sooner than you think, which is quicker than you want.
Folks, thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you'd like to write into the show, send an email to doomedmoviethon@gmail.com or hit us up at doomedmoviethon on Instagram or at doomedmoviethon on Twitter or at doomedmoviethon at Discord, or go to Hello This Is the Doomed Show on Facebook and message us there. If you want more Hello This Is the Doomed Show, go to doomedmoviethon.com and click the podcast button for the archive, or go to YouTube and look up Doomed Moviethon and you'll find the classic episodes of Hello, This Is the Doomed Show. And if that's still not enough, I have written some books, about my love of movies over on Amazon.com. Just look up Richard Glenn Schmidt and you'll find Giallo Meltdown, a Moviethon Diary, Giallo Meltdown 2, Cinema Somnambulist, or Doomed Moviethon, the book. Hello, This is the Doomed Show is a proud member of the Legion Podcast Network. Go to legionpodcast.com and check out the other great shows over there.